Crisol Theatre of Idols is the kind of game that makes you immediately sit up and go, oh, you're that kind of weird. Not quirky weird, not meme weird, the deeply uncomfortable religious horror imagery kind of weird. And honestly, that's exactly what made me want to see it through to the end. You play as Gabriel Escudero, a captain of the Order of the Sun, who arrives on the island of Tormentosa after being personally tasked by the Sun God to deal with some sort of undefined threat, which, historically speaking, is never a good sign. Anytime a god says, trust me, you should already be backing toward the exit. Tormentosa is not a friendly place. The island is steeped in Spanish religious imagery, with statues lining the streets, heavy Baroque architecture, and a general vibe that says something went very wrong here and nobody processed it emotionally. It doesn't take long to realize those statues aren't just for decoration, they're enemies, because of course they are. One of the game's earliest standout moments is your encounter with Dolores, a massive figure inspired by Spanish Holy Week iconography. She's huge, intimidating, and completely immune to your weapons. This is Crisol politely but firmly informing you that you are not in charge of this situation. Dolores later becomes a recurring stalker enemy, showing up in certain sections where the goal is to hide, stay quiet, and not panic while slowly realizing that you definitely panicked too early. Not long after this, the Sun God intervenes and turns your pistol into what Crisol calls a blood weapon. And yes, it works exactly how it sounds. Every gun in the game uses your own blood as ammunition. Your health bar is also your ammo count, which means every shot you fire is a very personal decision. Crisol doesn't ask, do you want to shoot this enemy? It asks, how badly do you want to still be alive in about 30 seconds? Mechanically, this is where the game really shines. Combat instantly becomes more tense because you're not just managing resources, you're managing survival in the most literal way possible. It also fits perfectly with the game's themes of faith and sacrifice. You are actively bleeding for your progress, which is about as subtle as a brick through stained glass, but it works. That said, the system isn't perfectly balanced. Resource distribution can be a bit all over the place. There are moments where the game throws healing options at you when you're already full, your inventory's packed, and you're basically begging it to stop being so generous. Then there are sections where the game suddenly demands a lot of combat, drains your health rapidly, and gives you absolutely nothing to recover with for an uncomfortable amount of time. When that happens, the tension feels less intentional and more like the game forgot what it just taught you. Combat itself is solid, if not groundbreaking. You will fight a variety of enemies, including basic statue puppets with blades, archers who love shooting you from inconvenient angles, flying enemies that exist purely to be annoying, heavy units that soak damage, and at least one enemy type that spawns infinitely, just in case you are getting too comfortable standing still. You do get access to multiple weapons like a shotgun, submachine gun, and sniper rifle, but honestly, the pistol does most of the heavy lifting. With upgrades, it's more than capable of carrying you through the majority of the game, which makes the rest of the arsenal feel a little optional rather than essential. Progression is handled through La Plañidera, who is functionally this game's version of the Resident Evil 4 merchant. Using essence from defeated enemies and raven skulls hidden throughout the world, you can upgrade pretty much everything: weapon damage, ammo efficiency, syringe capacity, and most importantly, your knife. Blocking and parrying are crucial, especially on higher difficulties, and upgrading the knife turns it from a panic button into an actual combat tool. Exploration is where Crisol really encourages you to slow down. The game is packed with collectibles, including raven skulls, silver balls used as currency, blueprints, vinyl records, and crucible medallions that unlock hidden chests. These aren't just there for completionists. If you ignore exploration and skip upgrades, the game will absolutely remind you that you made that choice, and not in a polite way. The level design clearly wants you to poke around. Maps are filled with suspicious rooms, hidden paths, and little environmental hints that practically scream, there's loot here, and most of the time there is. Between chapters, you'll return to Torrentosa Fair, the game's central hub. This is a surprisingly fun space that breaks up the tension and gives you a breather. You can upgrade gear, talk to NPCs, and take part in fairground minigames. Completing these earns tickets that can be exchanged for things like permanent health upgrades or fuel to sharpen your knife. It's a smart way to vary the pacing and make progression feel a bit less grim without breaking the tone. Structurally, the game follows a pretty clear loop of new area, fair, new area. If you're rushing through for a review, that structure can start to feel predictable. If you're playing at a normal pace, it works well and gives the story room to breathe. Puzzles are sprinkled throughout the game and range from straightforward logic challenges to more involved clue based riddles that require paying attention to notes and environmental details. Most of them are well done and provide a nice break from combat. I did encounter a glitch where a correct solution didn't register, and at one point my controller refused to stop vibrating until I restarted the game, but overall technical issues were minimal. Narratively, Crisol does a great job of layered storytelling. You get the immediate perspective of Gabriel through first person dialogue and encounters, but much of the world's history is told through documents, posters, advertisements, and blood visions that replay moments from Tormentosa's past. Between chapters, stylized animated sequences that look like painted sketches help flesh out the story without over explaining it. A highlight here is Medio Dia, a radio companion who adds some much needed personality and warmth to an otherwise bleak experience. The campaign took me around 14 hours to complete, which felt just right. It doesn't drag, and it doesn't feel rushed. There's also plenty of replay value with higher difficulty levels, collectibles to hunt down, and achievements that range from reasonable to mildly unhinged, like finishing the game in under 3 hours. Crisol Theatre of Idols isn't flawless. Combat balance can be uneven, resource pacing sometimes works against its own mechanics, and certain sections can feel repetitive if you're powering through quickly. But what it does right, it does with confidence and a strong sense of identity. It takes Spanish history and religious folklore and reimagines it in a way that feels unsettling, deliberate, and genuinely memorable. Even if the cultural references aren't familiar to you, the core experience still works as a tense, atmospheric, first person action horror game. For its ambition, its ideas, and the experience it delivers at its price point, Crisol Theatre of Idols earns a solid 8 out of 10. If you enjoyed this review, leave a like, it helps the channel more than you might think. Subscribe for more in-depth game reviews and let me know in the comments what you thought of Crisol, or if Tormentosa is a place you're brave enough to visit yourself.